Hello and welcome to another video of mine. Today we're going to be talking about Old World. Now, Old World is a game that came out in early access over on the Epic Store back in May 2020, and while personally I quite enjoyed the game, the fact that it was on the Epic Game Store meant that I didn't really put nearly as much time into it as it really deserved. I generally tend to stay away from the Epic Store, not for any political or any other reasons other than my laziness of not having two game browsers is pretty nice. So Old World, I imagine other people are in a somewhat similar boat. Steam is their platform of choice. Old World not being on Steam is a big negative for it, and I think because of that it didn't get nearly as much fanfare as it really deserved, because the game is actually, in my opinion, rather good. Now, it had its full release on the 1st of July 2021, and now, today on the 7th of October 2021, at, I believe, PAX East? No, it's EGX London, PAX Australia, and Gamescom Asia. It is going to be announced that Hooded Horse are going to be publishing Old World on the Steam store, coming sometime in 2022. In fact, the game that I'm running right now, here, is in fact running on Steam. Thank you very much to the developers and the publishers for giving me some early access to the Steam version of Old World. And I've been playing a little bit. I've been playing it a few hours so far. And I think, like I said, the game is very good. And it is coming out at a very interesting time as well, because not that long ago, Humankind also released. And Humankind is also a 4X explore, expand, exterminate, and exfoliate. I'm not sure what the fourth X is. It's in a similar vein. Civilization, Old World, and Humankind all fit that niche of 4X strategy game, and they each do things slightly differently. Civilization, of course, has you choose a historical leader and a historical culture, and you take said culture through the entirety of human history, from the Neolithic era all the way to postmodern era. Humankind lets you choose a different culture in each era, again going from the Neolithic to the contemporary. Old World is a little bit different in that you don't go from the beginning of human history into using space as a method of expansion. They don't let you use nuclear missiles or guns. Old World is set in the Old World. It is not set in the future, or it's not set in the contemporary or medieval eras. It is very definitively set in its time. And we can see that if we go into New Game, the first thing it will ask you to do is choosing a leader. Now, these leaders are historical. They are all historically accurate, real people. Of course, you can see here, Philip, the second of Macedon. He is the father of Alexander the Great. If we look over here at Rome, we have Romulus. Maybe not entirely 100% historically accurate, but the Romans believed he was, so we'll go with it. We have Cyrus the Great, we have Hatshepsut of Egypt, we have Dido of Carthage, we have Nebuchadnezzar of Babylonia, and we have Ashurbanipal of Assyria. All of these are real people, with maybe the exception of Romulus. Not really sure about that one. And the way you play the game isn't that you keep this character throughout there and the entire time you're playing the game. In fact, these characters will age. These characters will grow old, and these characters will die in a realistic amount of time. And what happens when they die is you take over as their heir. In the case of Philip II, you will take over as Alexander the Great, and you will start playing as Alexander the Great. At the start of the game, he starts off a measly teenager, but you will eventually take over as Alexander, and then he will grow old, and he will die as well. Or be deposed, or something other grisly and gruesome. So what Old World is doing is taking that 4X game that people know and love, and they're turning it into a very interesting new way of playing this game, and that is like kind of merging it with a bit of Crusader Kings 3, for example. You've got that dynasty system, you've got the expansion of your personal family, which is, I think, a really interesting way of doing things. And now, of course, I'm loading up a game here where I'm playing as the Greeks, and I'm even playing on a historical map. So I started off in Pella, in Macedonia, and I have expanded down into Athens and Sparta and into Ionis and Byzantium. And I'm currently at war with the Romans, and they are very strong and probably likely to win because I'm not very good at this game yet. But you can see Philip here, Philip the Magnificent. He's looking quite a lot older than he was in the image that I showed you before, and that is because he's old. We're several turns into the game at this point, and we're not as fresh as we used to be. We're in year 37. Alexander the Great is now 49 years old. So he's getting on in years as well. And while we still have the various 4X elements, like, for example, I could build a settler and I could bring him over to this city site over here, settle this city, and then this area will become mine. I will be able to take workers like this fellow here and get him to build various upgrades on the areas here. I could build forts and farms, mines, hamlets, all of that kind of good stuff. Inside my cities, I can create new units. I could put pops in various places. For example, if I wanted to boost the productivity of this farm, I could put a farmer there. We also gain population in the form of citizens, and they grow at a certain rate. You can increase that rate with various things, etc., etc. You've got your standard 4X fare, but you also have a policy, a politics system that is unlike any 4X game that I've ever seen. You have relations with other countries, of course, but you can also marry into them. If I had chosen to, or if I'd worked towards it, I could have had Prince Alexander here marry a Roman princess or a Roman woman. At the moment, I have married him to Princess Consort Anita, who is the head of the family of the Cypselid dynasty. And what is the Cypselid dynasty? Well, it is not just the Argead dynasty that rules in Macedon. We have a couple of other dynasties as well. Everyone starts with 4, but you can only put down 3, and you put them down by creating a city with them in charge. So I have the Cypselids down here in Athens, but over in Sparta we have the Seleucids, which you may remember from the Seleucid Empire. I don't think they're going to get that far at this point. And you have to keep these families happy, because if they don't stay happy, they may revolt, and that might be pretty bad for you. So there's this whole politics system internally that you just don't see in other 4X games. But also, like I said, I could have married the Romans. I could have gone down and married the Egyptians or the Carthaginians. And I still can if I so desire. It is a very interesting game. And it is something that I think has a lot of depth and a lot of things that you can explore within it. And I do want to play more of it. And now that I have the game on Steam, I imagine I probably will. I will probably be playing this a lot more than I would have if the game had remained on Epic. Whether that is a indictment against Epic or against myself, it is just what it is. I'm looking forward to playing more of this. There is one caveat I will say to this Steam launch, and that is that multiplayer is not yet functional. So while I do think this game would absolutely thrive in a multiplayer scenario, it is unfortunately not ready yet. It is something that I will be doing though, right? When multiplayer is functional on the Steam version, I am going to be setting up a multiplayer game that I want to play with people in my community, my friends, and having 7 people in the said multiplayer, 1 for each of the leaders in the game, I think would be a fantastically fun thing to do. So, I'm going to be playing a bit more of this. If you want to see some Old World on the channel, then please do let me know. Let me know in the comments, like this video. it'll just let me gauge the kind of interest that there is in this title. And I'm excited, honestly, to play more of this, because it's a fascinating game, and I just think it needs to be on Steam, really, to get more interested parties in it. And, well, it is now, so that's fantastic. Anyway, it's going to be a short video. I just want to let you know, Old World is coming to Steam, finally. Thanks all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.